A life that has the stories to back it. A life to be proud of. It's a Winchester life.
Yeah, baby. 6'8" Western. Oh, Mule Deer, baby, right there.
Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV.
Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com.
Just be sitting up there jacked with Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the bow early on. Like, I love getting close and putting up.
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
we call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby.
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bulls. Just.
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast.
My name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Candy.
I signed into Zoom and I had to do an update.
And that's a mistake. I was gonna do that, and I'm like, I better not.
And then I did an update, and then I had to put in my username and password again. I forgot my username and password.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm glad mine automatically did it or updated that stuff because it did the update without me having a choice.
Well, the last Zoom was kind of fucked up, so this one hopefully is a little better.
Yep. So what else is new, guys? I'm looking at a whole bunch of killers here.
Pretty quiet in this room. Muc and Derek anyway. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's been busy.
So we got a few stories to tell. So who wants to start?
Go with Muc.
Well, you've also got an elk and well, I guess you had your kids.
Yeah.
Elk and your dad's antelope.
Yeah,
but
my brother.
Muc's going around dropping fucking giant mule deer and giant antelope, helping buddies to kill giant antelope.
It was a good fall.
Landon, not so much. Landon hasn't killed shit. Oh no, he killed an elk, didn't he?
Yeah, he got an elk. Yep.
Okay. Well, sorry, Pete. You're still.
Yeah, like I said, I'm fucking built for packing out other people's shit. I'm not a killer.
That's good.
Hey, Pete, I heard you could have shot something with your bow.
Yeah, but it was in town limits. I'll send you a video of it. It was tonight. A buddy of mine called me and he's just like, dude, you need to check out this deer. Get your bow, get your tag, and get down to the yard. But
did you see that thing? Did you send that deer to Muc right now?
All right, I gotta get off camera here though.
Dude, Muc, you gotta see this deer.
I'll send it on Instagram.
Fuck, that thing is big, man. So while we're waiting for Pete to do that, why don't you lead off the story with, since we're talking about mule deer, Muc, that was a beauty.
Yeah.
What happened there?
You know what? It was horseshit luck. CWD's been just decimating our mule deer, and it's moving from the west, from Alberta, and it's moving slowly across east. And the zone that I got drawn in, me and my son, myself, and my buddy from work all got drawn as a group. And that's the zone that I go mule deer hunting for archery all the time. And the only reason I put in for the draw was just so that I could maybe get Ryan a mule deer this year, my kid. And because everybody all year have been saying that the mule deer have been non-existent, I didn't even go down archery hunting, which is odd for me because I love mule deer archery hunting. But we only had I asked my kid, like Ryan, he's 18 now and he's in university and he's working and girlfriend and car and the whole bullshit. And so I don't get to spend much time with him hunting anymore. So I just said to him a week ago, I kind of put it in his head. I said, hey, we got this draw tag that you wanted me to put you in for, but I need to know when we can go hunt for your mule deer. And I have a buddy down south that has tons of pasture land, and he's got all his neighbors. So I had tons of land to hunt. So, anyways, Ryan's like, the only day I got is Thursday, and I was off. So I said, okay, well, we'll head down there at 7. We'll get up at like 5 in the morning and drive down there. I had full intentions not to fill my tag. I was going to eat it, and I just wanted one deer for weird sausage, because that big moose I got last year, I lost all my meat. My freezer quit, so I lost all like 600 and some pounds of my moose meat. I know, I literally could have cried. Anyway, so I had no wild meat in my freezers whatsoever, except for that little bit of antelope, and so we drove down there, met up with my buddy right away, and he's like, yeah, man, like the mule deer down here are almost non-existent, which is odd because even a year ago when Lana and I were mule deer hunting, there was mule deer everywhere. Not necessarily trophy class, but there was mule deer everywhere. Whereas as soon as the sun came up, I didn't see anything. So my buddy Tyler, he'd basically taken the day off work to hang out with us. So he said he had to run back to the farm and get his orange and stuff like that. So we were just heading westbound on his grid, and we saw about a herd of 20 in this little valley. And so Ryan got out and walked down the road, and he says, "Yeah, Dad, there's a couple of good bucks in there. Not, I wouldn't say type that I would shoot, but for him for sure, and for meat." So we made a plan. We had permission on that land. So we're all of a sudden they spooked, and they kind of just trotted off to the west. So I just said to Ryan, I said, we'll just drive the mile to the end and we'll walk in. Well, by the time we got to the mile to the end, the deer had already kind of cut the distance, and we're going to go across the other grid, and which they did. And I'm not a big fan of bailing out of the truck and shooting, so I was like, let's just let them settle down, and we'll make a plan. And then they kind of one by one went over the road and then got into this other pasture. And so I called Tyler on the phone, and because I got that iHunter app that has the RM, that has like you pay for the RM map, so I could tell who the farmer was. So I got Tyler. I told him I went on this guy's land. He says, "Oh, he's not overly supportive of letting guys hunt on there." And I said, "Well, is it worth me calling him?" He says, "Well, I'll give him a call." So Tyler gives him a call, and make a long story short about that is we got permission, and so we made a plan to go in there. And this time they had went over a little rise, and all of them like one by one by one, and there must have been 30 deer in there, and there was 3 bucks. So I said to Ryan, I said, "Which one do you want? We'll sneak in there and we'll take it." He says, "I don't care." So we walked in there, and we down there, it's weird because we haven't had any snow here all year, but down in that little part of the province, they got like 5 inches of snow. So it was kind of weird. Like, it's been 11, 12 degrees Celsius, and all of a sudden we go there and we're in the snow. So we're trutzing through the snow. We go down the valley through the other side and out the top. And as we were cresting the top, one of the bucks met us face on. Like, I don't know what he was doing, but he was almost like he doubled back, and he spooked. I'm like, oh, great. So we just kind of went over the rise, and we just slowly were walking and glassing and walking and glassing until I finally seen the herd. And then the nicer of the 3 bucks that were in that group, I said to Ryan, he's standing right there, and I ranged him like they weren't spooky at all. Ranged them at like 138, and I said to Ryan, just make a good shot on him. And here the odd thing is that I bought Ryan that 300 short mag probably 7 years ago, and he only shot it once, and that was a deer 4 years ago. So he hadn't shot it. And so I just said, make a nice shot. So he made a shot, and it did that, where they jump up in the air and kind of kick.
Yeah.
So I knew that must have made a good shot, and it made a big loop. And as it was running, like, it was a beautiful day out, like super blue sky. I looked through my binoculars, and I could see on the offside as he was running, you could just see it just kind of spurting out. So we let him run over the edge, and the other ones didn't run at all. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just let them go over the edge. We won't spook these other ones. We'll go back to Tyler's farm, and we'll give them time to die, and then we'll come back with a sled, like a whole sled. So we went back to the farm, and Tyler was there, and I said, any chance you got a sled? And he goes, yeah. So we ended up going back there, and and we just kind of followed the same track, and we are going to go look for Ryan's deer. And I said to him, this is where we left the herd, was right over this in this valley. And as we went up over the valley, there was nothing. They were gone. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. I didn't even take my gun in with me because like I said, I was going to eat my tag. And but I did tell Ryan to take his gun in case his deer wasn't dead, which I'm 100% sure it was, but I still told him to take it in. And as we were walking, Tyler looks over to his right and he says, there's a good one right there. And I looked over to the right and I was like, I could tell with just my bare naked eyes that this thing's wide. And so I put my binoculars up. I'm like, holy shit. I looked over at Ryan. I said, give me your gun. And so I grabbed his gun and I just went over to a fence post and yeah, I ranged him first and he was 176. And yeah, same thing with Ryan. I just squeezed off and just dropped him in his track. So went over to my deer and I was like, holy shit, that's a lot better deer than I thought it was going to be. He had 7 points on one side and 6 on the other.
Holy shit.
And like he had a typical 4x4 frame, but he had points like not, I don't want to say they're non-typical points, like they weren't going all different directions. They're just split on each tine.
Split tips.
Yeah. And his one back, I don't know if they consider it a G2, was pretty weak, but other than that, he had a big typical 4x4 frame with those points, but like 6 because he had eye guards. And so threw the tags on him, said, well, let's go look for Ryan's, went up over the hill, and like there was just like an insane blood trail from Ryan's, like insane. And sure enough, we found his. And so it was kind of a weird double, but it was really, I would love to say I had history with that or that mule deer, and I spotted them, all that stuff. I did, and it was just shit ass luck, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
So you said there's less mule deer. Do you think, and you also said there's CWD. Do you think the two are connected?
Oh, 100%. Like it started at Alberta, and Derek probably knows this, that CWD's got the east side of Alberta decimated, and then it's just been creeping from west to east and just going kind of like zone by zone by zone. Like when they were talking about CWD 5 years ago, kind of towards that Maple Creek and towards Medicine Hat, it would like nothing was happening in my part straight south of here, but now it's slowly creeped this way, and farmers are finding dead bucks all the time and dead deer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the deer that we do have now they're healthy, but there's way less of them. And like I can't even say we had a bad winter because the last 2 winters have been fairly mild.
What's a mild Saskatchewan winter?
Well, a lot nicer, or a lot worse than what it is there. Mild here is like not much snow, and not like we don't have long stretches of minus 30 to 50 degree below. I think last winter we had 1 2-week stretch where it was like minus 50 at the wind chill, and then the rest it was like minus 10 the whole year.
That's all I remember about Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
You freaking freeze your balls off in the winter. You get cooked like fried eggs in the summer, and the fucking mosquitoes out there to eat you alive and carry you away. Those are my memories of Saskatchewan.
You think it gets so cold here, you'd kill those mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And the ticks. It's crazy all those ticks live.
Yeah, like you think it gets so cold that the larvae would die, but it doesn't.
That's unreal.
In Saskatchewan, it is so bizarre because you can have minus 30 degrees, and if it warms up and it's plus 10, all of a sudden you'll see a mosquito. I don't know how it's even possible. And same as in the bush. Like you could have 3 feet of snow in the bush, and then you get a week of nice weather, and then all of a sudden people say the ticks are out. Like I don't know how it does.
I've had that same thing anywhere where there's moose. It's still like snow on the ground. We're doing spring bear, looking for bears, and you go into a little gully with like some water running where it's starting to get a little bit warmer. 8 degrees, and they just reanimate. It's wild. We had like 20 ticks on us, and there's snow on the ground. You wouldn't believe it. Brutal.
I will say that we got a bit of a break from the mosquitoes here, not so much in the bush, but here in Regina. It got warm really early in the spring, and then they started to hatch, and then all of a sudden we got a cold snap, and then so we got into June before we really got mosquitoes here in Regina. So that was
That's
nice.
all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Thank
like
God
the
for
bear
Thermosol.
stand, hey Kev.
I was saying, thank God for Thermosol. So back to that CWD. So, like, what do you guys have to do out there for recording all that stuff? Do you guys have to send all that your animals away to get tested? I'm assuming.
Yeah, you got to send the heads in if you want. I don't think it's mandatory yet. Like, at least I have the head in the garage of mine, but I
Like,
don't think it's mandatory yet.
have you? So, like, you're gonna Euro mount that thing, shoulder mount it,
Just Euro.
right? What about there, Derek? Do you guys have to do anything for?
Yeah,
Because
mandatory.
I know in Region 4 now in BC you have to. So
Yeah,
Well,
it'll get to certain population size, and it'll just be like percentage infection depending on how many have been submitted. And once it hits a threshold, then that zone becomes a mandatory testing. They have like ice boxes and like drop off zones, and then test kits you can do on your own. And like Muck's saying, it started at the border between Saskatchewan and the United States, like that corner in there.
right,
And
like Alberta, Saskatchewan.
yeah,
and
in that
Montana.
bottom corner, and then kind of how the topography goes, kind of favored Alberta, like in that many berries south, and then it moved north towards Medicine Hat, and then it's been kind of pushing towards Saskatchewan and towards like Suffield. Some of the elk had it. It's a major issue, yeah. And it's just going zone to zone, staying like kind of south. But it's just slowly traveling. On our side, it's traveling west, and on Saskatchewan's, it's traveling east. But yeah, it is a major issue. And like I say, like I have family that hunt there heavily, and they'll see like big bucks, like 190 class buck, just doing circles, like weird
Just acting
stuff.
weird.
Yeah, acting weird.
Yeah, somebody
chasing
sent. I
white-tailed
seen a
does.
video of that in BC actually.
Yeah,
this buck doing weird things, and surprisingly,
yeah, or
it's in
starving.
Region 3.
Like it'll be early, like just like opener for rifle, like fairly early, and the deer will look like they got ribs
When's that?
showing.
What's the date of that?
It depends. It'd be like early November, like
Yeah, so
end
no
of
hard
October.
snow on the ground, no reason
No,
for
no,
them
no.
to be. Not even really
No.
the rut, like heavy rut.
No, and there'd be
So-
like sores on their elbows and stuff on their fronts, and like ribs showing, just like clearly unhealthy, hey? And you'll
Yeah.
see that more and more.
My buck was like really healthy. He had, your typical inch, quarter or half
Yeah,
inch of fat
fat.
on his back, and
Yeah.
just real healthy buck. So mind you, I think he's old too. Like he's a really Roman nose on him and real
Yeah.
light face, light face. So he
He
was
looked
on.
like a
He definitely
stud.
he definitely was a stud, but he's definitely on the down low. I don't know how he lived that long.
Yeah, probably. So are you worried at all about CWD for your
No
buck?
fuck, no fuck. I've already processed my meat. It's already in the freezer.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
And
You can tell. I like to a degree, obviously. Like in those younger
Yeah.
bucks, it's harder to tell. But like with those older bucks, like Mucks and like the one I shot in 2022, you can really tell. Like you take the hide off, you can tell if they're really, really unhealthy. That's when I get really concerned, when there's no fat, they got sores, they're acting weird on the hoof. Like if you can watch them for a while, or like if they just don't run whatsoever. Seen that too. Where they'll just sit there and you just shoot them, and it's just like, what the heck's going on with this deer?
Yeah.
But there's signs.
Yeah,
but
you see
now it's
videos of that
mandatory.
where guys are walking up to these big bucks.
Yeah.
And they're 25 yards away, and the bucks are just like doing circles.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. They're just,
hanging out.
Clearly fucked up.
I have my feelings, my personal feelings about CWD when it comes to consuming the meat. That is like, like Derek said, if they're clearly sick, they're sick. And I don't know, I wouldn't say eat that, but if you have a healthy deer like mine, where he was putting on winter fat already, and he was without a doubt, that was the biggest body deer I've ever shot. Like when we were skinning him, when we had him on the tractor, I said to Tyler, my buddy, I said, like his hooves are 12, 14 feet in the air, like stretched out. Like it was the biggest deer I've ever shot. I have no problems with that. To my knowledge, it's not the type of disease that's transmissible to humans. I haven't seen any studies that show that it has been, and therefore, if I send it in and then it comes back positive, now what? I killed this animal that was healthy, and now I'm all wigged out. And do I want to eat the meat? So I'm just like, if I don't have to send it in, like I had kept the head in the event that I had to. But if I didn't have to send it in, I'm going ahead. Well, I already ate some. I cooked steaks up there tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it really matters too about just like your meat care too. Like I now have a separate saw for taking heads off. Like I don't even put like I know guys will say, "Well, you can just take the head off with your knife." I don't do that anymore. Now I have my meat processing knife, like my knife that I use for breaking down the whole animal, and then I have my other stuff for like spinal fluid, anything like that, and I keep that completely separated from everything, right? Because especially some of the other areas that I've hunted, like it's mandatory testing for moose, and it's prevalent there. So that's kind of
In the
built
moose.
into, yeah, in the moose, yeah. So it's really like we've never had one test positive, but it's really entrenched in our way of like our methodology of how we break down our animals. So then you don't have any contamination. And like Muck's saying, like there's studies where there was one case of they did it with primates where it was transmitted, but they opened up its brain and put prions directly on its brain.
I don't think that counts.
I don't know. You know what I mean?
Slow
Like,
down here. Slow down.
not
Back up.
consumption.
So hold on. So they opened up the ape's brain.
Yep. And then took infected material and infected prions from
The prions are not everybody knows about not as much about CWD.
Yeah, so like CWD is this prevalence of a protein complex that's prions that essentially it's mutated in a way that it's unraveled, and then it causes this redundant mutation, and that mutation is what causes wasting. It's very similar, like every main group of animals, like sheep and cows, and everything has some version of this wasting disease, and essentially that's how they've narrowed it down. At least the research they've done is that it's a prion issue, and it's located high concentrations in lymphatic and essentially spinal fluid is the major one, right? So anytime you're cutting into the spine, you're risking contaminating, and these prions are very durable proteins too. They're not proteins that can be incinerated or cleaned or destroyed. You could probably clean it off to a degree, but they're still there. So it's kind of a permanent thing. So
once the deer has it, has it.
Yeah, and once you contaminated your gear, it's kind of there. And so, but in the research that they did, they cut into, I don't know if it was like some lemur or some sort of very similar genetic type to humans, but they cut into their brain, and then they intentionally put prions or infected material onto their surface of the brain, and they contracted wasting disease. That was the only occurrence. That's why they say there's some hesitancy of like it's transferable to humans, but not through ingestion. So if you eat it, there's never been some positive case of it, not like mad cow or something like that, right?
Yeah, where you eat the meat and you become infected.
Yeah, exactly. That being said, though, it's pretty simple what you got to do. You have your gear, you take all your neck meat off, you be very diligent about the way that you're processing your meat. You're very clean cut, no issues. They went sawzall their heads or cut them really in half, down the spine. And that's the only thing. Like with moose, you kind of have to do some of that. So we take off all the meat off of like your loins and do all that processing first, and then we cut them in half and then quarter them from there, right? But then we cut the quartering off of like the rib, because we bring the ribs, everything out to like on the moose. But
and that's a lot of the thing too, is like when you're doing ribs, you're cutting the ribs, right? Like a lot of the processing you're doing, you're actually cutting, depending on the type of cuts you're doing, you're actually cutting, some of those cuts involve cutting bone.
Yeah. So just making sure that you're not intentionally contaminating spinal fluid all over everything, right?
Hey, Derek, one thing I don't know about that is once an animal has it, is it all 100% fatal?
Yes.
I think they've said like
no, there is some CWD resistant deer I was watching this stuff down in the States. They're breeding CWD resistant deer down in the US.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's more, it
Whitetails.
just kind of wears on them, right? Like it's already like, say you get a mild to harder winter and it's just some sort of other element. It's just like one of those things like a human impact. Well, does that kill mule deer? Well, no, not directly, but it has that stressor, that impact, right? And it's just a compounding of all these different things. And then CWD is just kind of the last thing of an already hard environment to survive in. And that's what ends up putting these deer down. Because if they're already, especially like age class, right? That was one thing they were talking about was as these deer get really old, well, they're already having a tough time. They got no teeth left. They're getting beat up. They're getting to the age where the survivability is not certain anyway. And then CWD is the last thing that just kind of compounds on them and then puts them down.
Yeah, I know it's not all of Region 4 here for the mandatory submission.
Yeah, I think
but
it's just the east.
yeah, so it kind of, we're the last, where I live are the last, the northernmost MUs, and one half of the valley is, and the other half of the valley, like the west side,
Yeah.
you have to submit there, and that's everything: deer, elk, moose. And the east side, you don't have to. And the one thing that they've told us is with deer, they've got videos out so that you can still do a Euro mount. So it teaches you how to cut out the infected, what they need to test. But with moose and elk, they're saying you got to do a skull cap and you got to send in the rest of the head. Yeah. Don't ask me why.
That's
because all they can do the test now. I think pretty sure it's just through spinal fluid.
That's what I was under the impression, but
like for moose, it's lymph nodes right here. You cut into the head. If you want to cape it, you just come up, make a dorsal, then a Y cut on the top, and then right in here, you just snag those two lymph nodes on either side, put it in a baggie, and send it out for testing.
That's what
from my understanding, moose and elk were a little more resilient to acquiring or to catching CWD than
like elk especially. Elk especially. I think there was only the one that tested positive, and that was in like the peak of Southfield where there was like
from my understanding, like even elk in high density CWD surroundings, they're still more resilient to the disease than like the deer.
Yeah, and that was only one individual. That was only one. I don't know if it was a bull or a cow, but it was only one tested positive in Alberta that I'm aware of. Yeah. Moose, they get it a little bit more, but yeah, it's not as same thing. They're a lot more resilient. I don't know if it's their behavior patterns, probably like in rut too. They're just more
and probably just the animal, the genetics of the animal, the makeup, the DNA of it. Like
so far here they haven't had any more positive tests. That was the last email that I got, and I think they've tested like seen between 1,500 and 2,000 heads since the first two positive.
Right.
So
one element I think that really drives the prevalence of it is too if there's predation. So like in our areas, like where Muc and I are hunting in there, like there isn't wolves or cats. Like there might be wolves out by your like where you are at Muc, but like where it's the worst, like around Medicine Hat and in the south, there's not really too many predators. So like if there's cats, like those cats would pick off those infected bucks if they're slow, right?
Yeah.
And that maybe would
the
drive
easy
down.
targets.
Yeah.
Same for the wolves, all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So let's hear the story about your kids' bull, and then we'll get into some antelope stuff because you guys both have. Well, I mean, Derek, your antelope hunt was pretty quick. It seemed like, hey boys, I'm heading out, and then 15 minutes later, it was like, hey boys, we got one down. So,
I
don't know how exciting that's going to be.
Oh yeah, a lot of scouting. That's where
kind of like how Pete's
off.
hunts go. Those ones.
Yeah, except I text back. Yeah, still nothing.
Pete, weren't you at full? Didn't you have one at 50 yards or something?
15.
Yeah.
15
why didn't
yards?
Why didn't you shoot him?
Because it was only a 3x3, and in region where we are here, it has to be a 4-point.
Didn't you have a spike though? Didn't you have a spike?
Didn't you have an elk or something?
Yeah, you were telling us the story.
There was a 4-point I called. Oh, the one that there was the ones that almost ran me over, like at half a yard.
Yeah, the spike.
Well, they were at full tilt coming straight at me. I mean, I had no.
You had the
ethical
opportunity, and you
shot.
could like that was during bow season too.
Yeah,
I
and
have
then
to
a
go through
week.
my text. You were telling me that you
Yeah,
had
there
a
was
spike, but
there
you
was no
passed because it was like day 1 or something or day 2.
no, there was no passing. It damn near ran me over at full tilt because it was up in a slide. I've been trying to get these elk to come down to me for 2 days, and they every day since like 5 or 6 days prior, twice a day, morning and night, they come out in the exact same spot. Never seen it before, but I'm not going to argue it. And they'd come out, and I told myself this year I'm not being passive. Like I'll watch, I'll learn, and I'll make adaptations as needed. And I got sick and tired of them not coming down to me all the way or close enough. So finally I said, fuck it. I'm going up to them. And it's like, they've come out every day up there, same spot. So I went up there. We got a trail camera up there, and I made up a little blind and everything. And they came up about, there's a time, I don't know, it was right around 7:30 or so. The wind switches there. So, it either goes down or up in the mountains there. And they consistently would come out after that wind shifted one way or the other. So I should have been safe theoretically. And what happened is they came out half an hour earlier, and the wind was still freaking, it was in that changeover time. So it was swirling.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if I told the story, but like I thought I'm sure there was a bear there as well. That I knew there was a grizzly bear within a kilometer of me, just on the next slide over. And I could hear the elk coming in, just snapping twigs, all that kind of stuff. But I could also hear lots of huffing. And the elk they were kind of getting spooked too, but there was logs being rolled, not typical elk sounds, And I was like, well, it's a bear. I was like, whatever. There's a nice black bear in the area too. I saw a couple days prior. And it just got louder and louder. Everything, all of it, just got right to the edge of the slide, and I stopped hearing the small twig snaps, and it was more just straight up huffing and logs rolling. And I was like, motherfucker, that's got to be that grizzly.
That's when you do your predator call.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So
how will you know?
I loaded up my
luck.
I loaded up my shotgun because, and I'm not afraid. But it's one of those situations you better be prepared, because I'm not going to get. At that moment, I had the advantage because I was hidden. But if I get stuck out in the middle of that damn slide and all I've got is a small shotgun and my bow, I don't like those odds. But I don't mind it if I've got the element of surprise at least. So I loaded up my shotgun, put my bow down, and then all of a sudden there's a freaking elk head pops out. It was the smallest of the two, and I was like, holy fuck. So I threw my gun back down, picked up my bow, and then it was just like a freaking rodeo up there, like, start, stop. They wouldn't even stop for half a second. And yeah, I mean, I swear to God, that thing, it was half a yard. I could have touched it. It kicked dirt and rocks up on me. But it was like as fast as an elk.
You could have shot that one though, right? Isn't it any
legally? I could have shot it, but there was no ethical shot. I mean, it was a full-on galloping run straight toward me, and we're talking, this is all like happening in seconds. And it turned like at a 90. Kicked
Were you
rocks
wearing
and
your
dirt up on
glasses
me.
though? This is probably.
I
what
didn't
happened.
have my glasses. That's probably
That's
what
what
happened.
Couldn't see what was
got
going
dirt
on.
in the eyes. I could have
probably had like It's probably all had
hours.
like played out in like 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, the cow came out after she stopped. She came. I thought I was going to get run over by her too, and she stopped at 2 yards from me and then backed up a couple and sat there broadside trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And I'm just like, why couldn't you two have switched spots? And I literally, like she's sitting there right in front of me. And then she took off honky tonk the other way. And the other spike didn't even come onto the.
How many years have you been hunting this spot now?
This is my first year up there. I've been up there like with helping out my buddy,
Okay, so where were all those? You're sending us pictures of these giant 6x6 and 6x7 elk.
Oh, that was
on
way
your trail
after.
camera.
That was after. That
Okay,
was
but
in
where-
it. What was that?
You should hunt there.
Yeah.
Well, that's my primary spot that I go to. But none of
You
those
switched
elk.
spots. Classic.
None of those elk.
So they
That's
weren't there
my-
last year?
No. There's a herd that usually comes down.
If you
and
tell
they're-
me you have a fucking tree stand in that area where those elk are right above that trail camera, I'm clicking you off here. That's it.
No, I don't. Not there. That's the first time I've actually ever seen them up in that area. Yo, what I'm
Switch
saying
spots,
is,
and then 6x6s are just licking his stand.
oh, those things must have migrated in. Usually there's a very small local herd of cows that are on that property and they keep going, like they do
Well,
circles
then if
in
there's
there.
cows, the bulls got to show up.
But there
sometime.
wasn't. That was why we didn't go there.
This year. But then it ended up being.
Yeah, in rifle season, but I was already freaking, I didn't check those cameras because I was way up in buttfuck nowhere, and it wasn't until the 28th of September. And as soon as I got back and saw those, well, where do you think I went? I went there. And then somebody else shot a fucking tank that was there across the fucking highway. And mine never appeared
Sounds like
again.
I need to give you some of my luck, Pete.
Fuck. It was everywhere I went, they did something different. And actually, calling wise, situation wise, I think this is the happiest I've ever been for me not screwing up for the most part. You know what I mean? You know, when you get those dumb things that you do and you're like, why did I do that? I didn't have a single one of those. I was super confident this year.
Well, I could tell you one you've already done that you just told us is that you weren't in the spot where the elk were.
Well, yeah. Okay. So there's one mistake. That seems to be And it's not only, I'm still doing it again. I just did the same thing with the mule deer. It wasn't where the 4 points were. It was only where the 3 points were.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. Next year, buddy.
It is what it is. Yeah. And again, you know, my mule deer this year.
Dude, I'm going to tell you something. You need to suck up to Derek and get him to take you out hunting. Because, like, he's taking his kid out and they're slaying him.
You know what? I just need to book like an hour of his time because it seems to be all.
And just say, hey, I'll be out there. I'm going to leave here. You could probably drive out there within 4 or 5 hours. Hunt the morning, and then I'll be back by the evening.
And I'll give Muc a call too, and be like, you know what? I'm just going to make this a big roadie.
We'll just and then you can't go hunt with Muc in Saskatchewan. They're a little more sticky over there.
How about for some birds? He's bird hunting out there.
Yeah. Well, if you want to hunt birds. Oh, yeah.
Well, fuck, right now I'll kill anything, man. Just let me kill something.
Well, grouse is still open.
One of these days, I gotta tell you the story about when Kevin and I were hunting bear together, and I was telling him how much I got a hard on for turkeys, and he just did not take me seriously at all.
No, we take the kids turkey hunting, but Muc's coming out here this year, so we're gonna have some fun.
Are you gonna do the morning, or are you just gonna do your afternoon?
That's why he wants to come out.
Oh, you want the full meal deal?
I want the gobble hunt.
You want the gobble hunt?
Come out in the spring.
It's funny because he said, "Well, you got to bring your bow," and I said, "Oh yeah, I'll bring my bow." And he's like, "Well, you ain't shooting with a shotgun."
No, they're way more fun with a bow. Yeah. All right. Well, Derek, he's pretty quiet over there. He doesn't seem like he wants to talk about the story. So tell us.
Oh no, I'll tell you about it.
I already know it.
So, yeah, it was kind of a doozy of a day.
That's why Pete and I don't talk anymore. We just trash talk each other when we're talking, because like you tell the stories to each other and then you forget to talk about them online here. So
no, it was a good hunt. It was a long hunt. It was a hard hunt. It was it was just a lot of pressure in places that I wasn't expecting, to be honest.
Not pressure, like hunting pressure, not pressure on you. Or was there pressure on you?
Yeah, pressure on me, but because you always want your kids to have a good time. And I knew immediately when I seen like 5 trucks that it wasn't going to be easy, which I warned him. Like the year before, he shot a big 6, and that was like quick, efficient. We went hard. We beat people to those elk, and we surveyed all the elk. I felt like a freaking sniper. I'm crawling around in 2-foot snow, checking every single bull in that big group. Like there was like a herd of 100, and so I was expecting.
The conditions were different though this year to last year.
Yeah,
because like this year, looking at your picture, there was no snow.
No,
and last year there was a ton of snow. It looked like. So
Yeah.
does that affect your hunting pressure where you are?
Yeah, definitely. It seems like people, when it's cold and miserable, I kind of like that because then it keeps a lot of the non-hardcore guys at home. But it was really nice. It was really mild, and there was a lot of elk in the area, and it's good and bad. It's like those herds, it's good to see them, but it's also kind of a rat race, and it becomes, I typically like to shoot bulls that are solo, walking timber alone, instead of trying to deal with all the external pressure when there is a big herd nearby. You'll get a
Dealing with
lot.
cows, all the eyes on you,
Yeah.
lots of noses. Yeah.
Lots of cow hunters too were out, and it's just very difficult to get. It's just a race to get on them and get set up. And if you're going for a bull and there's cow hunters in there, they just light them up, right? And then they get running.
This is all like opens the same day, does it not? So there's a cow elk draw.
Yep.
And it opens for a rifle.
Yep.
3-point or better.
Yep.
And it opens on the same day.
Yep.
So
yeah, there is a late
kind of a
season,
shotgun
but
opening. Let's go.
Yeah, so you got everybody out, and I knew that there was some guys hiking pretty far in there, but I was confident. Like, we got up at 3. I told my son, I'm like, make sure you're doing the stair stepper, make sure you're working out, because just the amount of pressure that I was seeing in archery was just like, okay, like, just make sure, like, it's not going to be like it was last year. Like, you only get a couple gimmies like that. Like, we got on the elk really quick. Like, this is going to be potentially could be easy.
So last year there was more snow on the ground. You guys didn't have to go as far.
We went as far, but I already knew where they would be. Like, they were exactly where I knew they were. Just zone of pressure, put a pin on them, went straight there. We found 100 head elk. Just really? I know the area really well, of like where that sanctuary zone is, where it's in public, but it's basically the farthest point you would ever want to pack out an elk. Like, it's absolute hell to pack out an elk. I'm like, oh, they'll be right there. But this time, because we went into kind of a similar area, got to the trailhead, 5 trucks are already out there. I'm like, oh my God. And we left at 3. Got up, got my kid geared up and ready to go. 3 o'clock, we roll up, and there's multiple trucks, and it's just not a good look. I'm like, okay, well.
So last year there was no trucks there, just you guys?
There was some guys. There was 2 trucks, but it wasn't like, it was only a couple of guys. It wasn't like, this was like 5 trucks, fully loaded, 4 guys in each truck, and then there was one that had three guys in a truck. And I ended up going to talk to them. Hey, what's going on? What's your game plan? And they were like, oh, we're gonna go out here. I'm like, okay, just so I know where one group is, right? I'm like, okay, we're just gonna go on the opposite side. I did have some private permission too, so I'm like, okay, well, we'll go out there. You know, they might run through. There's gonna be a lot of action. I knew right at first light there's gonna be a lot of blasting, and get up top. I'm like, my kid's kind of discouraged, like, oh, this isn't a good look. Like, there's a lot of guys in the area. Okay, well, we'll just start getting into the trees. We'll start hiking. We're gonna put some distance in between them and us. And so I start hiking up to this big hill. First light, boom, I spot the elk at 3,000 yards across, like 3 valleys over.
So
like
away from you guys and the vehicles?
Opposite, opposite towards the vehicles, but like towards the trailhead back where we were hiking. And I was kind of puzzled because there was guys with spotters. I could see them just trying to figure out where these elk were, right? And I'm like, well, we're just at the perfect vantage point. They can't see them. We can only see them because we're high up.
You had a little elevation.
Yeah, we got out. We were high up. I'm like, nobody's moving on them. Let's cut the distance. Let's race up there, and let's just no one's moving on them. They can't see them. And I couldn't tell really if the one was a bull, but I looked at him, I just body size. I'm like, oh, that's definitely a bull. That's like a 5 or 6 point, just the size. Like, okay, and I could see a bunch of elk kind of feeding up into the timber, and I'm like, all right, well, let's just hike in there and get past them. And it took us about an hour, and we got on them. There's a lot of chatter, a lot of cows, and we took our time because the approach that we went, I went on a different hill so I could see if there was elk in the timber, like on the lower end where we would have to approach them with the wind.
Where we had to cut through.
Yeah. Underneath them. And the wind was good. Everything was perfect. But there's just like the herd was very scattered, right? So I just was trying to make sure that we weren't going to blow them up while we were trying to head in there and find the bull, because the bull was high up and there was kind of some like a little bit of buck brush and kind of a little bit of breaking, and then it goes to like a real high ridge and then up and over, and then they're gone if they go over there. Well, we get up there and I'm like, holy shit. Like that one is like a really good bull. Like we've seen a 6 and a couple 5s, bunch of 4s, like 3 points walking around. It's like 15 legal bulls, eh?
Right.
Like, okay, like we gotta just, and it's my kid, right? So I want him to have a good experience too. So we're not gonna run and blast them. We're gonna get set up. We're gonna stalk in. Um, so we get in there, we're getting real close. I'm like, yeah, yeah, they're definitely gonna be in here because I walked that trail, like all those trails that we were in, like that's where I shot my bull with my bow, like, and was looking for them. So I knew all the trails. I'm like, yeah, we got this trail, this trail here, because I had already walked through everywhere in there, and come in there, and we could hear him bugling, hey, like ripping bugles.
Really?
Crazy.
Just like the bulls going off?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's a dominant bull in there and he's just cracking off and he's telling everybody he's in charge. He's bugling and you could hear cows everywhere just checking
That's
in.
really
bugling.
late for that amount of bugling.
Yeah,
Like I've heard
never.
elk calling late seat, like later, just but like to bachelor up again. Do you know what I mean? Like, hey,
Yeah, yeah. No, this wasn't that. This was rut. This is rut
Crazy.
level vocalization.
this is so late
And like a
rut.
late, yeah, like crazy late, like estrus. Weird behavior. Like normally when they're moving, they weren't running through though. So like normally you'll hear them doing that elk chatter as they're checking in as they're moving really quick. But that's
Yeah.
not what this was. So we got in on them. I think we were like 200 yards, and we could hear my kids getting real excited. Eh? It's like you could hear them bugling, like ripping bugles, like nasal grunts, glunking, doing like all sorts of vocalization. Cows everywhere. I'm like, oh, this is really good, but also kind of like scary. Like we could blow them up here. We got to be careful. So we started slowing right down. Started picking up some cows through the timber. We're just like under 200 yards with rifles. Like he's got his rifle, and I could hear him bugling, and we're just closing. Okay, we just got to get to the edge of the timber. We'll see that bull, and we'll shoot him. And not 1 second after I say that, boom, 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 just a ton of shots, like 15 shots, like 5 up in the top, and then a couple in the back, like way further out. It's like, oh my God. And I could just see my kid just deflating. Hey, just like, oh,
Like guys shooting into the group.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the group of hunters found they got on him as well.
Yeah, they got on him, and it was just chaos. You could hear them just checking in, and they're not real. Like when those big herds are moving, they're not very fast. I'm like, okay, let's just like hike hard, get up to the top of the hill, we'll cut them off. At least cut their tracks, like at least know which direction they're going, right? So we can get on them again. And
so how long you guys are what, an hour, 2 hours into this hunt already?
Yeah, we're about 2 hours into the hunt because we hiked in like in dark 4 a.m. to get to that vantage point, and then but just it's slow going, right? There's a lot of sticks in your face and stuff like that. It's not really good established
hiking
trails
in the
there.
dark is never quick.
Yeah, especially with your kid, right? Like checking in with them, hey, like how you doing and stuff. But we got up there and a couple cows down, no bulls shot. We talked to a couple guys who are up there, and like they're dealing with a cow down. Real nice guys, but it just chatting with them. They're like, oh well, I shot at the 116, and just with everything, like this comes down to like we were talking about, like all year round, the training, the shooting, getting in shape. It doesn't like bother me, but it's like there was a lot of missing this year. I've seen a lot of missing. Like I got like even like antelope, lots of missing. Like guys taking way too many risks, like shooting 700 yards and stuff. And they're just like just crazy stuff. Like just stuff that's just like, man, like if you don't practice that stuff all the time, like I shoot a lot and I've shot to 2,000 yards. That doesn't mean I'm shooting animals that far, like just the ethics of it, and just the responsibility of those shots, and making sure that you're making good, merciful kills on animals. There's a lot of weird shooting, and guys were shooting elk on the move, and it just, guys got to, I think that's the message.
Careless.
I just got to, careless. They got to take more time to go to the range. That was one thing with my kid. Like I took him to the range I explained every single process of the shot. I explained how the scope works inside and out, what he needs to do in certain situations. Because of these exact situations, it's a crapshoot. The elk were on the move. So those guys made shots. They missed a big 6-point, he said. He's like, yeah, I had a 6-point. And other hunters started shooting, and then he's missing and all sorts of chaos. I'm like, okay, well.
When two different guys are shooting at the same bull or same animal, any animal,
Yeah.
it usually never ends up good.
Yeah, it's not good. I'm like, all right, well, we'll cut the tracks. I asked them, like, well, which direction do you think they went? They gave me some bullshit info. Didn't make any sense to me because I cut the trail. I'm like, there's no tracks here. I'm like, let's run a lateral line straight west because I knew they were going to go on the top of the ridge and then run north to south. I'm like, let's just get on a trail. We'll run a lateral line. I'll go right to the top of the ridge. And if I don't see tracks, you know how it is when there's elk running through like big groups.
Leave a mark.
It's like a highway.
If
like
100 elk are run through anywhere, you're going to know.
Okay. So I went the side they went. There's no tracks. I'm like, okay, let's circle back. Let's go out the opposite way. Found their tracks, immediately cut their trail, and I followed for like 7 kilometers with my kid. And it was fun. He was having a good time. It was, like that's what I was trying to like reestablish the whole like, okay, like we're on their trail. It's kind of sucky. I'm like, how are you feeling? I said, I'm just kind of just a little bit disappointed, right? Like the climax of like you hear bugling elk with a rifle in your hand. That's a pretty powerful thing. That's not every day, especially in our area. So he said, oh, well, we'll just get on their trail. There's some meadows where it breaks open. We'll figure out where they're going. I kind of have a good idea like where elk are going and what they're doing and why. So like let's just get on this trail and it'll start making sense. We'll make some waypoints and we'll figure it out. Get going. At that point, I think we were at 10 kilometers, I think. Like we were already like really huffing it. And my kid is like, he impressed me. He is quite a bit stronger, quite a bit better conditions. It's like we were talking about like how each year, I'm like, as soon as I seen him, like, oh, he's right about here on my height. I'm like, excellent. I'm like, perfect.
Now they just keep getting better and we just keep getting slower.
Yeah. Yeah. And he kept up fine. He's like, yeah, no, I'm
except
feeling
for
good.
Muc running all those fucking stairs.
Yeah. Like perfect, right? Like let's just walk this trail, let's track them, and let's figure out what we need to do next. And by midday, if we don't see something, we'll switch gears. We'll double back, and I kind of know some other areas where there's probably elk, and we'll see what happens. And I got some reception too. And I texted my cousin because I knew he was in the area. He was far north, and let him know that there's some elk potentially running his direction. And he had told me there was like 15 shots. He all I got as soon as I got into reception was war zone. A text message, war zone. It's like, holy shit. Like, how many shots do you hear? He's like, oh, I got 15 right at first light, like 15 shots. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I heard about that too, but like he didn't hear the shots like above the ridge where I was. But yeah, it was busy. There was lots of stuff happening. But, all right. Well, let's just go to the farthest point where we know that it's a shitty pack out. So we follow those elk, they're hoofing it. And, when we're talking about zones of pressure, this is where, like I say, like I rely on pressure, because if we didn't have pressure from people, quote unquote, good hunters, shitty hunters, doesn't matter. A lot of shitty hunters are out just blowing up the elk and pushing them back to us. I'm like, well, let's just wait and see what happens. Like they may come back to us. So we start, just going back to our original plan, which is trying to find those solo bulls, walking timber. So we go back on ridges instead of heavy timber, start glassing some cut lines, walking around. It was getting pretty slow in the afternoon. We're like, okay, well, let's switch gears because he had a whitetail tag too. So we'll go down to some meadows and we'll just take a break. The afternoon snooze, right? I'm like, okay, you just snooze. I'm just going to start glassing. Seeing a ton of good mule deer. That's one thing that was pretty good. A lot of 160s, couple 170s. Seeing one that was now 180 mark. No, it's a draw zone, yeah. But it's just nice to know where they're at when you get drawn. And I think it was like midday. We were like, okay, let's start hiking far south, go through timber, and let's see if we can pick up a trail on because there was snow in all the shaded areas. There's all snow still. Hey, so okay, let's go up there. But the rest was all burnt off. Gets towards evening. And this is where we were talking about, in our elk seminar, and we talked about it like in my archery episode and your episode about just staying in that zone as long as you possibly can. And with kids, it's even harder because it gets kind of safety and sketchy. So make sure you're prepared for that. But I'm like, hey, Mace, like, let's just stay here as long as we possibly can, right till last light, because it's kind of a hot spot. Like they're in here before, and I get those kind of hunches where I'm like, okay, like I know the pressure was sufficient enough that they want to be in here. This is the farthest point from a trail. This is the worst pack out because it's on the opposite side of a hill. So the only easy pack outs are through private. So any guys from public, they're not going to want to go in here because that's like 4 ridge lines from any road. That's like 7-kilometer pack out, and it's up and down stuff the whole way, and blowdowns and just crazy, right? Okay, let's stay in this zone. They like it here. They were here at first light. They'll be here again at last light. I'm guaranteeing it. Let's just stay here.
I see. So you just came around to the loop.
Yeah, we did a big loop. By that time, I think it was like we're at 28 kilometers, something like that. Some crazy, like a big loop. We started hiking north, did a big loop, looking for deer and any other elk sign, like solo elk, smaller pockets elk, other than that big herd. Because you'll see those solo bulls. Like anytime I see a big herd, I just start glassing nearby because I always know that those bigger bulls that have broken off, they're always nearby, but they're on their own. And they'll be walking in and out, especially in the mornings. I've caught
you
a
get
couple
late pockets too. You get some stragglers that are, they're behind, but they're a ways behind.
Yeah. And so let's just stay in here. And I'm like, you know what? They're calling. I'm going to start calling. So like not quite last light. Like I think it was like maybe like 3 or 4 p.m. I'm like, I'm going to start calling. Like I had a read. I am like, shit, I should have brought my reeds. I never even a million years would have thought, I'm like, should I bring my reeds or my calls or anything? And I just, in my one front pocket, I just found, I'm like, oh, I found one of my reeds. So I'm cow calling, I'm bugling. I was just using my hands to call and cast my call, like, and trying to get as much volume as I could. And I'm not joking. It's like about an hour, 2 hours, 2 hours before last light. I'm standing right on this bench, and it was the first spot I started calling. I bugled, and we were starting to walk kind of back towards the south end, and I bugled again, and those elk ran right into that bugle. They were standing right on the spot that I bugled. A bull answered back, bugled. I did a location bugle. He bugled back to me. Ridiculous. October 25th, and they're bugling.
Wow.
Returning bugles, calling to me like it's like archery. Like it was ridiculous.
Like it's mid-September.
Yeah. Like did a loud like estrus whine, like real obnoxious. And this bugle in the distance, just right away challenge bugle and roundup. I could hear like all sorts of vocalization. Like my kids getting fired up. It's like, holy shit. Like they did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They're coming back in here because the pressure was so intense. It seemed like they were just getting surrounded, hey? And we were just on the farthest point that you would want to pack out a bull. Like, all right, let's. And they were close enough where we thought, like, we got set up a couple times where I thought, I'm like, it sounds like he's going to come right up over this hill and we're just going to smoke him. I was like, maybe it's a solo bull, right? We're having a tough time hearing the rest of the herd. We come up on the hill and there's cows everywhere, like 100+ cows filtering in. Comes up on this bench, but the bench was it was kind of secluded, right? Like it was hard to hear. It was hard to see fully the full scope of like all the elk. I spotted elk tucked away in this draw through timber, but then I'm like, okay, like we got to be really cautious here because like we were 750 yards about, but there was elk at 500 or 500 yards, and there just was like a lot of timber, right? Like it's benched out open, but on the edge of the bench, it was all timber, really thick timber. and you could see elk going in and out. And then there was a couple cows that were starting to feed down. I'm like, okay, let's stop calling. Let's get the wind right. Let's figure out what we need to do to find a legal bull. Because there's got to be a bull in there. Because like we're hearing bugles, and the bugles were like grunting and very low bugles. So like, okay, there's a mature bull in there, like an imposter herd bull in there for sure, like a big 6 or big 5. And we're looking, and then my kid's like, "There's more elk coming." Like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, like over on the side of the left. Because I was looking at the top because they're coming down in single file. And it's like looking to the left. I'm like, there's elk everywhere. Like this is a freaking minefield of elk. Like, oh man, like there was probably about 50 head down on the bench. And all of a sudden you hear a big bugle come in, and then this ball is just freaking running full tilt towards that group elk. And then there's another, and then another 4-point comes in, and then another one, and then another. It was just getting ridiculous. It was just my kid is just like, so when are we going to kill one? Like, let's get down in there. And I was just like, well, let's sit tight. It's like looking at my clock. I'm like, okay, we got about an hour and a half till last light. We got to start like making a plan, but we don't want to be too hasty because we got to make sure that the wind and there isn't elk on the top of this ridge, because if there is, our game plan won't work to get.
So you
on
guys
them.
aren't in a position where you could take a shot yet?
No, not an ethical shot. Like Mace has shot 1,200 yards. He's a skilled marksman.
Okay, so how far away from these elk are you?
750. Like
I see.
There was a smaller group, like 450, but I didn't see a legal bull. I seen a flash of a big 5, the bull that we were trying to figure out where he was, but he he was doing rut activity. He was like pacing. He was pacing, bugled, pacing, checking cows. Like, he's just sporadic. Hey, like there's not really any way to tell where he really was. So okay, well, it's pretty clear what we need to do. Looked at my kid. I'm like, you're not gonna like me. Like we had already done like almost 30 kilometers. I'm like, well, we only know the one way, and it's the right way, and it's usually the hard way and the worst way and the most suffering. There's this massive hill behind them. Like, we got to hike to the top of that, and we got to go all the way around them so that we can get a better vantage point. Because I know it breaks in there. We need to look at them from the other side of the timber, but it's going to be like an archery stalk. Like, you're going to have to be very slow and quiet because there's so many elk spread out all over the place. And where the bull was, he was kind of right in the middle of all those elk. But we need to make sure that we don't be too hasty, because if there's other elk coming down the hill, like they're going to see us in the open, right? When we try and get close to them. It's like, okay, well, let's watch them for another half an hour, and then it's just bull, cows, more bulls, bugling. And like, okay, enough's enough. We got to make a move. So we head up the ridge. We start making a game plan to go all the way around, and then we run into this hunter. And there's a hunter on him with us, like he must have been just side beside us. And I went and talked to him, and I said, he was an older fellow, and he's like, yeah, it's just, there's no shot. Like, I don't have a shot. I'm like, all right. Like, well, I'm like, this is what you do. I'm like, we're going to go and hike that hill. He didn't have the hike in him to hike to the top. I don't think he was just kind of like seeing what they were going to do, if they were going to feed down to him. I'm like, well, this is what we're going to do. Told him our plan. Like, you get to the edge of that timber, because we're going to go like right to where he's here, and we're going to hike all the way around him and be on the other side of him. Like, you get on this side, we're going to hike all the way up and over this ridge on the other side, because the wind was good. It was rushing up, and we'll go all the way around him, and we'll shoot at him from the opposite direction. And that should push them right past you. So I'm like, so just get ready. Give us 20 to 30 minutes. And there's like tons of legal bulls. Like, you're going to get a chance if they go away from us. Like, yep, sounds perfect. So he goes down in there. I'm like, all right, we're going to go up and over. So we go up and over and around him. And I think I did like 5 different attempts to try and get down under the timber to get to a vantage point where we could see them. And it was just like elk everywhere. Cows. Like, I go down and I'm like, oh my, don't move. There's a cow at 50 yards. Don't move a muscle. Like, I see her like looking around. I'm like, okay, I'm watching her. I'm like, okay, let's go. Okay, we go back up, go even higher on the ridge. And we're like peaked out. Like, this is like one of the highest ridges in the zone. Like, holy shit. Like, this is like we're getting noisy, you're trying to be quiet, but there's rocks and old timber and shit in the way, and we're just taking our time, like, oh, we got to get moving here. We only have like 30 to 40 minutes until last light. So we come up and over. Wind was really good. It was kind of sketchy for a bit. I'm like, let's just rush through there, get past that point, and we'll come around them. So we're getting to the point where we can start, we can see the elk. We're like, okay, the main group where there was and bugling the whole time, like probably heard 50 different bugles. We're coming around the edge and we come down again to get another vantage point. More cows right on the edge of timber. So, okay, back up, re-hike the hill. So my kid is just like, this is getting crazy. Like we've hiked this freaking hill now like 4 times just because you go down and there's elk there. Like, oh, go back up. So we go all the way around them. And then we had a clear open vantage point now. Now I figured right away, I'm like, hey, this whole hiking down to them isn't working. So we're going to have to hike all the way around the ridge. So then the edge of the hill is just kind of like, you're just going to peek around that edge and then you'd see them, right? So that's clearly what we have to do because there's elk everywhere. So we go down in there and there's just elk everywhere. It was just crazy, just spread out like cows. Like we came down and we're just hiking across, and then we looked to our right, and there's three or four cow elk looking right at us. So we had to sit there in the whole archery stance, like sitting there like statues for 5-6 minutes, just standing there. Otherwise, the whole thing's done. And let them feed across. And as soon as they feed across to some trees, there's like a little pocket of trees. We're like, rush down into position. We're like, okay, now we're in position. We're on the bench, and these bulls are just going wild. Incredible. Is for a young guy to experience.
Are you getting worried about daylight at this time?
Yeah, like we still had time. It was good. Like we had 45 minutes. It was still really
quick
good.
though.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. But it was good. We had a plan. Now we're in the timber. We're in a good shooting position. It was on the edge, and it kind of opens up right after. And it's like, okay, all we got to do is we have to crawl on our stomach, and we have to get to the edge of this timber now, just super slow. I'm going to crawl right behind me. I'll hold the rifle, and I'll put the rifle in front of, and I'll get your shooting position set up for you. And then I just have you crawl up behind me, and then we'll get you in on, because it's the same thing like archery when you're hunting with your kids. I'm like, okay, let's get in position, and then we'll see if we can find the bull. And as soon as we find them, then I'll guide you to him to get the shot. And as soon as I get to the edge of the timber, I felt very uncomfortable. I immediately knew, it's like we were talking about, like with the other episodes, there's always a risk. You have to risk to kill, right? And the risk for this was we had to make sure that the bullet we were going to shoot was in the wide open, because as soon as what I had to do, I knew right away, was the way the hill was benching out and how the timber was ending, there was too many branches in the way. So I'd have to like crawl right out into the open so that my kid could have a clear vantage point and shoot that bull. So I'm looking at them, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be like a one-shot deal. It won't be like as soon as we go out there, the cows will start barking like crazy.
Yeah, you're
gonna see us. Yeah, they'll for sure spot us. 'Cause we had like a cow probably 70 yards from us, right? Yeah. Just off, like in front of us. So, okay, well, and then I looked and I'm like, I'm gonna go. I didn't like it, so I'm like, Kate, let's go backwards. We'll go lower. And I look down. I'm like, you know what? Let's just risk it. We're screwing around. The longer we're in this zone, the more likely we're gonna get winded, or other hunters, or something else is gonna happen. Let's just force it and make it happen, because this is it. This is the only chance we're gonna get. And it's like, and the shooting position is in shadow, so they will spot movement, but they won't bust. Let's just go for it. So get into position. I ranged the bull. I found the bull. He was bugling. I was watching him for a bit until it's like, hey, he's gonna circle around, get my gun. I crawled out, put my gun down, set the turret to, I think he shot him at 220 when I ranged him. So I'm like, okay, set it to 220. It's ready to go. I'm like, okay, he's ready to go. And I'm watching this bull. I'm like, I got to find the best bull. I'm looking around, and I'm just listening for that growl. And he's going in and out of the timber. And I'm like looking at this spike. And this spike was rearing up on a freaking cow, sniffing a cow, and then tries hopping up on the cow. I'm like, uh-oh. Look, and I see this bull bugling, that 5-point that was going in all the timber, starts bugling, then slams him right in the ass with his horns. That spike off the hits him full tilt, like running full bore, slams into that spike. My kid's watching this. He's like, holy shit. Like, this is crazy. Bugling and roaring. It's just insane. Like, all right, Mace, it's time to go. Let's get her done. Now that they're bugling and there's some chaos, let's go for it. And we get in there. As soon as he's out in the open, all the cows start posturing up that were on that edge of the timber. They start getting up. And that bull is like, he's right in the back corner. And that was the thing, like when we're at the range, I have my kid engage targets at 100. I'm like, Kate, 200. Get him used to like transitioning quickly between like, Kate, as soon as you do a shot, and I told him, I guided him, I said, I'm like, okay, this is the game plan. As soon as you shoot, you got to power down your scope. Power up your scope for the first shot, power down immediately, and just sit there and wait until I tell you to shoot.
Yeah,
Try and
so
find the
him
ball
in the scope. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And just get used to powering up, powering down, and then your turret and level, all that shit. Like, but we're 220 yards. Like, this is going to be, with the guns I have, it's going to be an easy shot. Gets behind the gun. They start posturing up. You're like, you on the ball. It's like, yeah, he's the 5-point. He's bugling. It's like, yeah, I could see him. Just let him walk. And he's starting to walk past this tree. As soon as his vitals are open, just make a good shot. My son shot him bugling. Like, you see him bugling. I'm like, hey, shoot him right now. He's bugling, heads up, bugling, shoots him right in the top of the heart. Just smoked him. Like, right where, like in the archery, right in that crease. And it's like, hey, no, power down. Just stop. Don't shoot. Just reload. Just power down. Just wait. And like,
What
wait
caliber
from
gun are you using?
300 Win Mag.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he was like hit hard, but then he like step forward 2 steps and he's just standing there dazed, eh?
Yeah.
Like, just relocate him, power down your scope, relocate him, reload, just hold there. And then all the cows and all the other elk started bundling up below him. And then he's just standing up there on the top. I'm like, yeah, you got him again. He's like, yep, shoot him, boom, puts another one in him right in the lungs. Reload again. Like, he's done, but just stay on the whole time.
Keep watching.
And those elk ran right to us.
Ran to you after.
To us. I thought
so
that
they didn't even end up running towards
the other guy. No, they ran right to us. They were so paranoid about pressure. They ran towards danger to go, like, towards danger. Like, if I still had a tag, I could have tagged out. There was multiple bulls. They were like probably about under 100 yards that ran by, and they heard it up and they start moving. And then that bull tried getting up again. Okay, put another one in him. Boom, right in the lungs again. And then he just death rolled and then cranked his head down, and he was done. But
that's some serious activity there. You don't get that in BCA, Muc? Shit like that going on?
Not in October.
No. Incredible. Crazy. And then my kid was just freaking pumped, eh? Like, just the thing that was like, when we were talking, like before we walked up on the bull, my kid was more like just in awe of like the rut activity, seeing them bugle.
Yeah, that's usually that's generally like the big draw. Like, when you were guiding, Muc, that must have been one of the coolest things for your clients, I imagine, is like that rut activity, rather than like just going in, especially guys who've never experienced it.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because like experiencing that for your first time, it's pretty cool. I remember like when I took Wyatt out last year and he got to experience it for his first time. And like just the rush you get from just those encounters alone, like just that calling and like just the activity, and like just to see how the behavior of them during the rut.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah.
Like rifle, so rare. Like, he'd been around it.
Because
I shot a bull
late.
with him. Yeah, exactly. I shot a bull with him in 2018 at 30 yards, and he came in bugling with my bow, but for his own
you shot
hunt.
it.
It was it was an archery hunt. He was 7 years old.
Oh yeah.
So I just had him tagging along with me. But so he'd
that's
been
pretty
around
cool.
that, but that's a long time ago, right? Like it's not like he remembers it, but it was just like this is his own hunt.
Yeah, that's
like,
still 7 years ago. That's a long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Hey, Muc, when you were guiding in BC, how many times did you guys hunt? Like you kill a lot of elk here in BC. How many times did guys shoot elk and you not find them? If ever. Must have happened once. I mean, out of those 200 and something elk you've killed in this province, or sorry, that you haven't killed, but you guided.
You know what? To be honest with you, I can't remember. There has to be, but yeah, I can't remember any.
Yeah, no doubt.
We usually found them the next day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's usually what happens.
That's why I told my kid to stay on them. Like we stay on them. Like as soon as if they're on their feet, we're putting bullets in them. Like it's funny. Like, well, it's not funny, but it's like I kind of feel like it's a little bit telling. Like, tell me that you haven't shot a lot of elk without telling me. It's like ask if they're shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor in every video where they're shooting them more than once.
Yeah.
Like I just watched a video and it was the guy shot him 3 times. They're like, oh, it's a 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm like, well, no, like they're big animals, man. Like it takes a lot for them to go down sometimes, even with good shots. Like every one of those shots was vitals, like lethal killing shots. But it's not the fact that you wouldn't kill them. It's that you don't want to pack them out where they're gonna run. I've learned my lesson. I've had where I shoot and then I let them run off. And the areas they go into are just nasty, terrible areas. Like this is a wide open bench. We're coming into it's last light. It's going to be night. I want to be breaking down that elk on that hill, not in nasty timber and blowdowns with my kid. So it's like stay on them, and you're not going to lose your bull, and you're not going to track them. And there's no snow in that area, so it's like if he does run, he wasn't going anywhere though. Like it was crazy. The blood was insane. He was the same thing, puking out blood out of his mouth, and incredible shooting.
Three bullets. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like perfect shots, like exactly where he was supposed to be shooting them. Like the lung shots were like within an inch of each other, and that was at 280. So the first shot was 220. We adjusted to 280, and he made 2 more shots at 280.
Yeah, that's good. Good for him.
And then went down there, and first thing I was saying, I'm like, holy fuck, like we got 30 minutes of daylight, and we're like as far as I can fucking imagine to try and hunt elk in that zone from the truck.
Yeah.
And it was just a doozy of a Paco. The Paco was incredible. I pushed myself to limits I never knew. And we had already, like at that point, like we're at 30 kilometers hiking around. It's like, holy fuck, we still got 7K now. Break him down. Tough Paco. The breakdown too, like the hide on this, he was a big 5. He's heavy, old bull, just like same thing.
Those late bulls too. Their hides definitely.
Oh yeah,
a lot thicker. It's
hide
surprising how much thicker it gets
thick
in 2 months.
Inch thick
in a month and a half. Yeah.
I had one of those disposable blades, and I'm like snapping blades off trying to get through the dorsal cut. He was just robust,
I don't
like
even
everything
use those anymore.
Just wild. And then and I was like thinking about like, well, my kid dropped his pack because of the hike that was a little bit too much for him, so he dropped his pack too back there. So I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna have to double back.
Now you gotta go find your pack.
Yeah, and gonna run out of knife because I had my knife and I had that disposable, and the disposable was breaking like crazy. So I'm like, oh shit, now I'm gonna have to break down everything with this knife. And I just broke down a bull. I sharpened it, but not like how I usually do because I have my kid's knife. Started breaking them down and just making good work. Got him broken down in under an hour. It was pretty quick. Like 45 minutes had him broken down. No wasted meat. Perfect shots.
Nice and cool too.
Yeah, got him hanging. Did the whole run it down to the bone on the hinds. I do that every time now just to avoid that potential for bone rot, especially in that sirloin.
You learn from me.
Yeah, and like, you know, my archery ball, there's some funky stuff going on there. And I just remember that, you know, you saying that insulated hip on that bottom side and just the heat that comes from that bone. So I opened up the bone, got them in packs, and we already heard signs of bears. Like I could hear shit in the trees. I'm like, it's the same area where there's like those 4 bears I seen in my archery. I'm like, oh, for the love of God. Like, all right, like, let's go over to this tree. And my kid climbed up in the tree, like 6 feet off the tree. And I handed up the hinds to him and got him hanging in the tree way off the ground to keep the bears out of him. And then packed out a bunch of meat and shuttled a bunch of meat out just one at a time. And we didn't get back to the truck till like 1 a.m. It was a doozy. It was good. It was funny. My kid was like, looking at me. He's like, I don't want to be negative, Dad, but I'm really thinking about the truck right now. I'm like, yeah.
I think that's understandable.
Yeah. Like, and he's like, just think about the worm truck. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I can appreciate your enthusiasm and the positivity, honey, but we ran out of water like 4 hours ago. Your little bit of water is the only amount of water we have. I haven't drank any water now in like since 4 p.m. Like, don't talk about the truck to me right now. The water's in the truck, and that's all I'm thinking about. It's like,
those are the ones though that he'll remember forever.
Oh yeah, like, because there's an element of fear too, right? He's like, oh, I'm kind of scared. I'm like, yeah, no, we're good. We're fine. Like, we drug the carcass away. We got the meat hanging. We're good. We're going to shuttle the meat to this point, and then that's a transition point. We're going to go up the hill. I'm going to do all the work. We're going to get all the meat to the top. We're going to switch to another tree, and then we're going to do a final loadout. And we're going to go get your pack. And while we're doing that, we're going to go up and down the hills. I'm like, phone's running out of batteries. I'm like, everything's running out of batteries. GPS running out of batteries. Batteries are kind of shit nowadays, it seems like. I'm like, okay, well, and I had my headlamp because we hadn't gotten his pack yet. So his headlamp was in his back. No, look at him. I'm like, well, at least our headlamps aren't running out, and then it starts flashing. I'm like, oh fuck. Okay. Headlamps running out. We're out of water. Headlamp is going dead. My phone is like at 7% left. Like, and then my GPS is running out of batteries too. I'm like, okay, let's just haul ass. Let's get as much meat out of there as we can. Get back. My wife's like, I get a text from my wife. I'm like, are you dead? It's like, no, we're not dead. I got a phone call from my other buddy. He's like, yeah, I just shot a bull. It's a wicked 6-point. He was like a 320-inch bull. It's like, I can't find him though. I smoked him and double lunged him. And then I'm like, okay, we're a little fucking preoccupied right now. Like, can we wait in this conversation? He's like, why? It's like, we just shot a bull. We're packing him out right now. It's like, holy fuck. Okay, goodbye. I'll call you later. It's like, okay, we hike out of there. And then the next morning, wake up my kid. My oldest. He's like, what's going on? It's like, well, we need you to come pack out. Alex, like, do you absolutely need me? He's like, yeah, we need you. We're doing it in one load. He's like, okay, let's fucking do it. Let's go get our gear together. And we haul it in there, and we unpacked like a bunch of our shit, lightweight as much as possible. We packed in as much water as we could, stashed it at the bowl, and drank as much as we could. And then I just kind of dumped the rest of the water as we were going. I was like, hey, we're doing it in one load. Boned out the whole bowl. Kids really impressed me. That's for sure. Yeah. Son
Good
took
stuff.
a hind. I did a hind, a front, neck meat, and some loose. And then my kid did a front, and we just death marched it out in one trip. It was freaking awesome. Oldest.
That's why it's nice to have multiple boys.
Oh yeah. My oldest was like, yeah, I'm feeling it. It's like, I'm getting a good leg pump. We're taking rest, and he's doing squats. It's like, this is feeling great on my knees. Like, I feel awesome. And Mace unfortunately had the worst backpack, so it's like brutal, like cutting into his shoulders.
Ouch.
And I'm gonna have to invest in another pack. But they're freaking
Pete,
great.
how do you like your pack for that? Is it
Love it? Yeah, the elk quarter or the elk that I packed out there, I didn't even notice it. It just
that's one thing I never liked about those mystery ranches, how narrow the shoulders were. But
yeah, I don't know.
Straps, they always bug me.
Yeah, I didn't find any issues with them.
But it could be too. Mine's a little older than yours. Maybe it's something that I don't remember it being like that at the beginning. So it could be something that maybe over time they just
widen them out just a little bit.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So,
I just gotta add one thing. The kids went to the gym after. We pack out that ball. They went and hit chest.
Well, that's the one body part they weren't working.
Yeah.
So we might as well get a full body workout for the day.
Holy shit.
Unless they stop and do push-ups.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
no, there was none of that going on. It's like this was sucky, but it was good. Probably one of the most like thrilling hunts as far as like
I
not
think we
not
lost your volume
myself.
there, Muck. Can you guys hear him, or is it just me?
No.
No, I can't hear him.
Oh, I see a mute button on the bottom of his screen there.
Did he hit mute?
No, it's off now.
Something going on. But yeah,
Huh.
it was great hunt. Action packed. Got it done on opening day, and
Can you hear us, Muck? Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Derek. There it is. You can hear us? You can't. You guys can't hear him, can you?
No.
no.
How's that?
Oh,
Yeah,
there you
there
go.
we go.
Somehow my microphone changed.
Oh, I see.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Derek, I got so about like um I don't know what you think of this, but Kevin, when you asked me about recovering elk, I'm sure I have lost elk in the years. I just don't remember them. But this is the reason why I don't. First of all, in most guided hunts, guys bring big guns, so that's
Mm-hmm.
most of them do. Like rarely do they show up with
Like
the
big
small
caliber.
guns. Yeah, but I'm a firm believer in this, and I tell everybody, even this to this day, like I already told it to one of my friends that I was hunting with this year, is I the first shot on elk, moose, or anything has to go through that front shoulder.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because what you said, Derek, earlier was if you shoot them through the vitals and they could run a mile before they die if you don't hit them. Like
Yeah.
if you don't catch a heart or if you just nick one lung, they can go a mile before they die, and that's a long time to add to your pack out or even to find them. So what I always tell people is the first one goes through the front shoulder, because elk especially, and moose too, typically they'll hunch up that shoulder or they'll go down, but they'll typically hunch up that shoulder. And if you take their I got this from the outfitter I used to work for. He used to say, if you knock their wheels out, their pegs on them, they can't go anywhere. And I live by that to this day. I tell everybody that first shot goes through the front shoulder. It won't kill them necessarily. It might, but it'll stop them so that you second one you can put through the vitals. So I always say the first one doesn't matter if you're 100 yards or if you're 250 yards. It goes in the front shoulder, because at least you'll always get a second shot. If you shoot them in the vitals and you don't hit the vitals perfectly, if they wheel and run on you, you're done.
Yeah, they'll just take off.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you'll lose them.
I always like I've lived by that, is the first one you crush his front shoulder and they're not going to go very far, especially in elk. Like they're so tough. They can take 3 or 4 shots, but if you put them in that front shoulder and bust that front shoulder, typically they hunch up and try to lift it off the ground, and that just slows them down enough that you can put that second one right through there.
Yeah, I got an interesting story about just that, but I'm not going to tell it because we're going to run out of time. But let's hear about your antelope, Muck, and then we'll let you go, because I do know you're 2 hours ahead of me and an hour ahead of these boys. So
Yeah, and I got to be up at 4 from work.
Mhm.
You know what? I just got to say something about my mule deer real quick. Is like I shot it with a rifle. I haven't shot something with a rifle in 5 years. I feel like I cheated because
Yeah.
because I pretty much went straight archery hunting now,
Yeah.
and to shoot that buck with the rifle, yeah, I feel like I cheated somehow. But anyways,
Do you regret, like, is it a shot you feel like you could have made with a bow?
No, it was 170 yards.
Oh, so
But I mean,
50 yards too long.
I just feel like I cheated because I've really embraced archery hunting.
Yeah.
Anyways, with my antelope, it's
So
here.
antelope though, draw.
Yep.
How many
First
years you
time,
put in?
well, my whole life, this is the first time I've ever been drawn. So I've been putting in for 30 plus years. So what Saskatchewan does
Fuck, that's a
is,
long time, man.
I know it's so that they fucked us up because I should have been drawn sooner. But the way they always did is we got we got C pool, B pool, A pool, and then we have that super A pool. And you typically only get drawn out of super A. And now we have this legacy pool. So if you're in super A
Oh.
for 9 years, you get legacy. Anyways, uh, I was in super A, and I was never getting drawn, never getting drawn. Then they closed the season for about 4 years, and then when they reopened it, they put everybody's pool status the same. So
Holy fuck, that
Oh
fucking
my God.
pissing me
there's
off.
10,000
Insane.
there's
creep.
10,000 people that apply for an antelope draw, and they only draw 600 tags. And so they started 10,000 people at a pool again. So it took me 7 years to I finally got drawn. Ryan, my son, ironically, he was 18 now, but he got drawn 3 years ago for antelope. He was in the draw for 2 years and got it because of the way they did that new reset everybody.
Oh yeah.
He should have never got it that quick, but he did. Anyways, this year I drew one, and but
So this was your first time for yourself hunting antelope.
yeah,
First
no,
opportunity you had for his.
no, back in like 1997, they opened it up over the counter for
OTC,
1
okay.
year. So I did get a 14.5-inch goat there,
Ooh,
but that was
nice.
over the counter, and I shot with a rifle. But this is the first time I've ever been drawn for an antelope.
Right.
And so learning from Ryan's where Ryan got drawn, I knew the area, I knew that a lot of the farmers, and Darren, my buddy, got drawn 2 years ago, so I went with him. I just posted on Facebook that I got this draw, because every year I kind of go to Facebook and vent my frustrations about the way they do the draw here in Saskatchewan. It's like
See,
bullshit.
the way they do it there though is like, it's not bad. Like, fuck, man, compared to what Pete and I have to deal with, like, fuck, it's fucking pretty good. Like,
But there's guys that have been drawn 3 times. They go all the way down to the bottom, they come all the way back up, and they get drawn. And I've never been drawn. So every
how the
year,
fuck can that be?
because you get drawn,
Percentage.
you drop down to, because when you're
Yeah.
when you're Super A, it's a random draw. So it only
So,
takes
but
some.
the longer you're there, the easier it should be for you to get drawn.
No, not until now they have this legacy pool. Before,
Right.
once you got to Super A, you could be in Super A for 15 years or 1 year, and you have the same opportunity. It's a
Oh, that's
lottery.
retarded.
It
Right.
is. So there's guys that have been drawn 3 times for antelope, and I've never been drawn. So every year I air my laundry out on Facebook about how stupid this antelope draw is. So I finally drew a tag, and it's just straight north in this. It's a combined zone, so 8, 9, 10, 11, and that's a big chunk of the western part of the province. So right up till the Alberta border, all the way over to about Gull Lake, Swift Current area.
Oh, yeah.
So a big area, like there's millions of goats there. So, but from where Ryan got drawn, I knew the area already, so I had lots of farmers to come. I just posted on Facebook, oh, I finally got a draw, and one of my Weyburn friends where I grew up said, hey, I got a guy out there that's got these goats, and he'd gladly help you if he's not already helping somebody else. So I just cold messaged him, said, hey, who I was, and I hear you're helping another couple of people, but I'm just looking for permission. I don't need help looking for goats, but I needed the permission for the land. And he said, yeah, man, you can do that. And then we just started texting and kind of getting friendly, and he sent me pictures of his goat he got a few years ago. Here's the thing: once you get drawn in Saskatchewan, you're done. Like, I'll never get another goat tag, because there's 10,000 people are moving up to legacy pool
Now with this new legacy pool,
That's right. They'll never draw out of any pool except for legacy. So I'll never get it until I get into legacy pool again. And it takes 15 years to get to legacy pool.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'll never get an antelope again in Saskatchewan. I'm 53, I'll be 80, and before I even qualify. So
I'll still be good.
So anyways, we started messaging with this guy.
Like, you and Pete look the same. Actually, Pete looks older than you. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, dude, you look fucking pretty good.
I'll be 54 in 2 months.
Yeah, Pete, he's only like 40, 48, 49. How old are you again, Pete?
Younger than you.
Oh, so you're 41.
So I got a hold of this Matt guy, and I said to him, hey, you don't know anybody that's got an old farmyard that I can pull a camper and plug in? He's like, oh, you can do it in my yard. So it opens September 1st for archery and goes to September 14th, and then it closes, and then it opens up October 1st for muzzleloader and archery, and then closes October 20th, and then 21st it opens for rifle. So
so you're good though. You could hunt any of those seasons with your draw, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I wanted to get it with archery, and so I went.
Okay, sorry. But in rifle, can you still use your bow? Or do you have to use a rifle?
Yeah, but I've learned from when I went with Darren, by the time you get to rifle, they're all herded up and the bucks aren't running there anymore.
Okay.
So it's just, it would be a fucking gong show with a bow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
there is actually some places though when it's rifle season or shotgun
You can't
season,
use a bow
you can't use a bow. You have
Oh.
to use the designated.
in the States, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So I got Landon to come with me. He wanted to come with me and film it. And so we showed up on September 1st or the night before, pulled our camper up there. And next morning there were fucking goats, you guys, everywhere. Like
Such a good feeling.
just everywhere. And good goats too. But not, I wanted to try to get a giant because my kid 2 years ago killed a 16.5 incher, like 80-inch goat. So I had big shoes to fill, and he got his with the muzzleloader. So anyways, we tried for 4 days to stalk, but they just weren't running yet. They were chasing does. They were pre-rut, but they were not decoying. They did not they I mean, I've never seen an animal so good a sight. And
Oh, dude, they're insane, those fucking things.
Yeah.
and
Blows
and
me away.
you pop that decoy up or you try to hide behind it, they just make that little whir, and then they run.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're getting pretty frustrated. There was two bucks in particular. One was a nickname House because he's lived 8 years on the same quarter of land, so they called him House. And then there's another one that was equally as good as House. And I had House at 70 yards, but the wind was blowing so bad, and he saw me, so he's head on. So like Landon's filming this, he's like, "You gonna take a shot at it?" I said, "Not at 70, a head on shot, especially with the wind blowing like that." And of course, they'll sit there and look at you, but when they decide to leave, they usually decide to leave like that. And that's what
Yeah.
he did. He ran off, and I had House twice under 100 yards and just never got a shot with him. And then that other one, we seen him a couple of times. He was if there was a buck that was running, that was for sure him. He was chasing does. So after 4 days of just blowing stock after blowing stock after blowing stock, typical archery antelope, we decided, we knew where they were watering because there's only one dugout in that whole area. So I said to Atlanta, I said, "Fuck it, let's just spud a blind up and we'll just wait at the water for them." And so that's what we did. We went in there the night previous, and there was 3 bucks watering already. So we're like, okay, that confirms it. So we snuck in at like 4 in the morning and put up a big blind, and the wind was blowing bad the whole week except for that day. For whatever reason, it was next to still, and we were sitting in that blind, and it got to like 25 above outside, so it was like 30. It was sweltering.
Perfect.
But we had probably 20 goats, and we just got some incredible video, guys. 20 goats come in and water, and I think Lano is actually, to be honest with you, getting pretty frustrated because I was like, nope, 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 nope. And I mean, there was
It's funny because you and I, yeah, you know how Landon gets. He wants you to shoot something.
And he was getting, he was getting like, he'd be like, that'd be a great bow kill. That one would be a great bow. You know what I mean? And I kept saying, yeah, but I got muzzleloader season and I got rifle season. I'm like, and I'm only getting a once crack at this. So yes, I want to get it
good. Yeah.
And so I could tell he was getting frustrated, like just because he was running the camera and he would be like, I'd shoot that thing. And, but it wasn't his tag. So he had nothing into it. Anyways, the one really big, probably 16-inch goat came to the water, and we got really good video, but he was really ruddy. He was chasing the does all the time, and he would never sit still. And so when the does come to the water first, and I had my bow ready, and as he came, and then all of a sudden he decided it's his turn he ran to the water's edge. I put my hand on the release. I said you can even hear it in the video. I said to Landon, "You ready?" He goes, "Yeah." And I went to draw back, and all of a sudden it's like he watered for not even a split second, and then he ran off. So we're like, oh, he'll come back. Because he didn't even get any water. So then throughout the whole day, we probably had 20 antelope come there, and it was crazy because there was domestic cows that were coming to the water, and it's like they've probably been watering their whole life there. And for whatever reason, when they saw that blind, they're like, they pinned that blind like you wouldn't be. But not one antelope looked at the blind. Not one. Like it was like we were completely invisible, but every cow was sketchy of us, and they're all, cows are being just goofy. And so it was getting in the evening, and there was bucks everywhere, but not that big buck that I wanted that came in earlier. And House I knew would never come here because he was a mile and a half to the north, and he never left that parcel of land. So I knew House wouldn't be coming there, but I did want that other one. And finally there's 3 bucks that were just just all kind of by themselves doing their little things, rubbing their horns on the sage and stuff like that. And all of a sudden the buck that I got shows up at an area that none of the bucks came before, and he come in running, and I looked at through my binoculars, holy cow, he looks heavy, like really heavy. And he come running right, like sprinting to the water. And pre I had preset uh I had preset the yardage out along the water's edge, and for whatever reason I had my sight set at 47. And he came into the water, and he was like, put his head down. And I said to Lana, what do you think? He's like, I don't know, it's up to you. I said, well, he's pretty heavy. And so I let her fly, and he just crushed him. Like that arrow went right through him. And then he whirled, and the craziest thing ever, and it's, guys, we got this all in video. It's so epic. He wheels and he goes around the dugout, and then he runs straight at the blind, and he dives 15 feet from the blind. Like he was running as fast as an antelope could run, head right towards the blind. We thought he was going to crash into us. And he died, and that was it. But he was, he wasn't as long as I probably wanted, but he was heavy just like we thought, and it was awesome. The beast broadhead just destroyed him. It went right through him. It was awesome.
Oh, you were using those, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great looking buck, dude.
And you know what? He's already done. The guy that's doing the taxidermy it's already done. I got to pick it up this week. Yeah.
What do you mean done?
Like it's already been mounted.
Like
That's
shoulder
insane.
mount?
Yeah. Yeah. It's already
Really?
done. Yep.
Holy shit.
I thought usually wait times are like a year.
They are. I don't know why he got it done.
Don't even ask what my taxidermist is. He's a lot longer than a year.
Okay, so I'm super happy with that buck, especially archery. But we came back 3 weeks later with my buddy, and we went to look for that same buck that I wanted to get on the alfalfa field. He wasn't there, so I said to my buddy Tyrell, I said, well, let's go north, see if House is there. So we go north, and we get past my buddy's dad's house, and sure enough, on that same quarter of land was House. So we parked a truck, and we glassed him. I got some video of him, and they kind of walked into the middle. He was following some does into the middle of the section or the quarter. So we went around it. I said to Tyrell, I said, let's cut the distance. This is the crazy thing between those two, the difference in 3 weeks between the rut and the no rut. I was carrying a decoy, and we cut the distance, and we were about 160 yards away from them because I ranged it, and they had no idea we were there. And I was looking with my binoculars. I was holding that Montana decoy, like so that I could put my binoculars on top, and I was just looking over the horizon just to see what he was doing. And I had the camcorder in one hand and the binoculars and everything. And all I was doing, like I'm telling you guys, like I was looking over that much of the horizon. And he snapped his head, and all of a sudden he goes down the dip, and I looked at Tyrell and I said, he's coming, get ready. So I sat down on my butt. I didn't even have time to put the blind or the decoy up, and I turned, somehow I just smart enough, I turned the camera on, and House was 20 yards away. He was running right at us. So I say to Tyrell, shoot him, shoot him. And I looked over, and my buddy's laying on his stomach, like in the prone position. I said, stand up and shoot that goat. So he stands up, and by that time he kind of runs about 40 yards, and he shoots him with the smoke pole. And I got it all in video. I don't know how, because I was not looking at the camera. And but he shoots him with the muzzleloader, and he's a legit 16-inch goat.
Yeah.
So it ended up getting
Holy
House
shit.
too with
I'll
the
share
muzzleloader.
that one. I was just looking
That's
at
crazy.
Is it this one right here, eh?
Yep, right there. Yeah,
Crazy.
Wow.
not
That's a good one.
not super heavy, but really long.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good cutters
Yeah,
too.
well,
Yeah, really good cutters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, could I have waited and found something way bigger? Absolutely. But I mean, I did, like I said, I've really taken to the archery hunting, and I got my moose last year with the bow. I got my antelope, and next year I'm legacy elk. See, I don't know if Derek knows this, but I've never killed an elk. Of all the elk I've guided for, I've never killed an elk. So next year I'm in legacy. So hopefully I'll get drawn out of legacy pool and I'll be able to get a six. All I want is a 6 point. It doesn't even have to be fucking 370, just a nice 320, 330 6 point.
Just a big mature bull.
Just a big, that's all I
Yeah.
want is a big mature bull.
Yeah, there's one thing about like I've learned with archery hunting is that you have to change. Like, I mean, you still can kill good animals, but like,
Opportunity.
yeah, it's like if there's an opportunity there on a good animal, you don't generally let it pass. Like, I mean, I've killed a lot of animals with my bow, but I've killed bigger animals with a rifle than I have
Oh, yeah,
with a
yeah.
bow. I mean, you know, besides that one elk, but like mule deer and everything else, I've definitely killed bigger animals with a rifle. But
Well,
I mean, for me, it's just not the same as it is killing with a bow. So
yeah, I got that big bear with my bow. That moose last year.
which big
My
bear?
war pig.
All your bears are pretty
All of
fucking
them.
big.
They're all big.
Yeah. I
Giant.
got my antelope. Next year I hope to get so here in Saskatchewan, when you this is how fucked it is, fellas. You get drawn for elk, you can't archery hunt for them because they open everything up at the same time. September 15th, archery, muzzleloader, rifle. So if you're gonna if you want any chance, you got to take your rifle. Otherwise, got like your story, Derek. There's guys shooting. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
chaos.
Yeah.
So I am gonna take my bow and hopefully get on an area where I have exclusive.
Well, I feel like with the amount of elk you've guided, and I don't see you not being able to get it done with your bow. Do you know what I mean? Like you have an advantage of all those other guys hunting. Like,
Yes, but if they've got them on the run, or I mean, the thing is, if they're blasting them, they're blowing them out of there. And like I've said this to everybody, you got to go where the elk are.
Yeah.
You can't kill an elk if they're not there. And if in the rifle season, all it takes is one Yahoo to shoot at a herd, and they move them 3/4 over where I don't have permission.
oh yeah.
And so yes, I have an advantage of the calling and knowing their language and stuff like that, but I still have to be lucky enough to
Yeah, you got to get within earshot first, and if
That's
you're
right.
running to places where you're not allowed to hunt them, for sure they don't do you that good.
So I mean, so next year I'm hoping to get it, but I mean, I'm not above pulling out the rifle because I've never shot one before. That's all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you there.
Well, that's some good stuff, buddy. You've had so you're gonna hunt whitetail?
Yeah, well, I've been sitting already, but it's been so warm here. Like today was plus 10. They're still nocturnal. Although
Yeah.
go to my Facebook, dude. Can you pull it up? Do you see that
Yeah.
video? Do you see that video of that forehead rope I put on there, forehead set rope? They're using it exactly as described.
Nice.
I love that. Where you
videos?
Mock scrape.
The mock scrape.
Oh,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
that little 4x4 is using that exactly the way I designed it. And I have one big 4x4 that's using it, but they're nocturnal. But that's a great video because that shows exactly what they do. You know, when they
So sorry, Mark. What is this here? We're looking at this. This is a rope scrape.
It's a mock scrape, but I have the deer like the licking tree.
Yeah.
And they have forehead glands.
Yeah.
So what this rope does is they get up there and they start batting around with their forehead and their antlers, and it's all a scent thing.
Yeah. I've got
So this is just you just set a rope up?
Yeah.
Or you bought this thing?
Rope, and then I doused it in. There's a forehead scent thing, just a stuff.
So you just took like a regular nylon or cotton, like obviously not nylon, but like something that would absorb it, dipped it in there and tied it up.
I think most guys use like a hemp rope, and I don't know what.
Yeah, you want something that's going to absorb
Yep.
Sorbit, not like a poly or anything.
And then below that, I have the scrape where I made a mock scrape and I put scrape stuff in
the
there.
ground, yeah.
But every buck and even some of the does are using that now. But that one in particular, that video is epic because the camera took the video just perfect where he was like smoking it around with his antlers and his forehead exactly the way they're supposed to.
See, I'm not allowed to use drippers or anything like that.
Really?
Because I'm not allowed to have any fun where I am. Like, it's fucked. But
hold on a sec. What do you mean you're not allowed to use mock scrapes?
No. See, now I have a mock scrape set up. I got lots of video too. But I have a rope that goes across from tree to tree over this pathway. In the middle of the pathway, you just pick a sapling or something like that. It's like 4 or 5 feet long, and I hang it from the rope down so that elk and whitetail can get to it. And I'm telling you, the elk like it just as much as the whitetail. I've got mule deer that are on it. Everything goes, they rub their faces on it. But our rules down here, I don't know about the rest of BC, but our rules with the whole baiting and stuff like that, the way it's written, I'm not allowed to use anything like a dripper or anything that kind of I'm dead serious. Believe me, I have gone through with my buddy who's a CO, and he's like, it's not. I'm dead serious. You're not allowed to because it has something to do with the chemical attractants, all that kind of stuff. I can't have a dripper set up on my mock scrape, nor do I need it. I would like to, but dude, deer.
So you just can't have a dripper. You could have a mock scrape.
Yeah.
Just not a dripper.
I just can't have a dripper, but that would be the same thing as hanging a rope with all that scent on it. I don't think I'd get away with that either. But they hit the sapling every time they go by. I'm sure of it. Like, I got so much video of it. And the elk love it. Like, they're all over it like white on rice, which was totally unintentional. I set it up for deer.
I got 30 pumpkins in the back of my truck I got to drop off at my deer bait here right one of these days. The deer just love it.
Did you guys ever go back and get all those peas?
Yep. That's what I'm feeding them right now.
Nice.
And the other bag that was there turns out was right full of oats. So we just left it there for bear next spring.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to cut this off, Muc, because
yep.
You got to get up early. And but thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Muc.
Yeah, great story, Derek. Awesome.
I'm gonna put up links to some of your stuff because you got a couple new videos out on your YouTube channel, and we got some other stuff I want to talk about, but we'll have to save for another time. So I'm just gonna cut this one off. Okay, guys, we'll see you later.
Nice chatting with you, Muc.
Take care, fellas.
Yeah.
Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA.
Gear up for the hunt and learn from the best with Deer and Deer Hunting Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV. Tune in every week for expert hunting tips and unforgettable moments in the field. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.